Alcohol and Drug Abuse NACADA. I'm joined by Jacob Aduda, a public education and advocacy officer, for a candid discussion about the positive parenting in regard to prevention of initiation to drugs and substance abuse among children and the society. Jacob?
Good evening.
Good evening,
Mr.
sir.
Amin.
We are glad to have you tonight.
Thank you.
And we're just going to jump straight into it. Last year, we had very worrying reports from the outgoing Education Cabinet Secretary, and also concerning the report that came out from NACADA, saying that at least around 17% among the young children, even 11-year-old children, had already engaged in alcohol abuse. We are looking from that point to now. How are matters currently?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. I can say NACADA does carry out surveys as part of its mandate. And we did carry out a survey between the year 2016 and 2018, both for primary and also secondary schools, children. And what came out is that the age of debut of drugs is the age of 10 years, between 10 and 11 years. Those are people or pupils who should be in grade 6. And what we can say is that things have not really changed. It did spike actually during the time of COVID because most of the parents would go back home and drink alcohol at home to avoid the curfews that were being put in place. Now, we can say that most parents, they assume that their children are forever children. And one thing they always think, there is thinking that my child will do as I say, not do as I do. But to the contrary, the children will always do by studying what you do. And that's why you'll find even some young children try to copy what their parents are doing. Remember, if a parent or a parent's behavior is not going as per what he says, the children will choose what he does and carry on with his legacy of his bad deeds.
And about the positive parenting agenda, how are you forwarding this agenda across?
As NACADA, as an institution of the government mandated to coordinate the campaign against alcohol and drug abuse in the country, we are currently carrying out positive parenting lessons in various fora and also through different media. And one thing I can say is that so far, we've reached hundreds of thousands of parents since we began it during the period of COVID, either through the print media or through the electronic media. One thing we have discovered that every human being is a social animal, and socialization begins at home. And if socialization begins at home, then it means that the first school that you are taught lessons of life is within the family. Now, if the family or the parents are not able to socialize a child well, then it even interferes even with the cognitive development of that child. And this is the reason why NACADA, we are partnering with different like-minded partners to reach out or to give out the information about positive parenting. And maybe somebody can ask, what is positive parenting? Because the difference between man and wild animals, let me use that term, or animals, other animals, is that men have been socialized to nurture their young ones to live in a certain way within certain social constructs, as opposed to animals. There's a difference between parenting and also giving birth. Every animal gives birth, but parenting is a different thing. And you have to have the right skills to be able to provide positive parenting for your child. And from the previous clip that you have seen, the education minister Honorable Mr. Magoha he said that we expect the children to do good while the parents are doing bad. Remember, if you have a child and you also have alcohol within your home, one thing is for sure. If the child can see you consuming alcohol or alcoholic beverages or smoking tobacco products, that child will do it even in your absence because the children will always give you what you want to hear. So with positive parenting, we are trying to encourage some or inculcate culture that enables or ensures that parents are able to bring their young ones in the proper way. And maybe somebody can ask, what is this proper way? You'll find that even within the urban setups that we have here, how many parents spend more time with their children, or even 15 minutes with their children, or each of their children when they come home from work? I know people are pursuing their economic goals, especially in cities like Nairobi. But do we have time for the children? Do we have time to look at what they're doing? Do we have time to know their friends? Do we have time to know what they like or to listen to what they want to tell us? And you'll find that most parents, especially men, you'll find they spend less time with their children as opposed to spending more time with their peers in the workplace or in the various places of socializing.
Now, Jacob, you've said a lot about the parent actually being the influencer of the child in what they do in matters of drug abuse and also alcohol abuse specifically.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
When there's a lot of like, the parent is being slapped right and all over the arena, but have you in your studies noted that there is perhaps an influence that comes about from the fact that we are in a digitized arena currently, such that it is not necessarily the parent who will be the main influencer of children, but rather there are other environments mostly extended outwards by the social media and the internet being in a way that is all over the place?
Okay. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm slapping the parent. I'm also a parent. Now, I want to say this. Once a parent, you'll always be a parent. Even you'll see those old people who are maybe 80 years old or 90 years old, and maybe their offsprings are 70 years old or 60 years old. They will still always refer those as their children. Now, parenting does not stop. Now, one thing is for sure. In the studies that we carried out for both primary and secondary schools, it was discovered that initiation to drug and substance use, a huge percentage happened at the home or in the home front, which means that the places that used to be safe for children are no longer safe for children. So that is the reason why we started now focusing on how can we improve the environment in the home for in social ways for children to grow up in a right manner. Now, parenting does not only entail providing physical needs of the child. It also helps you, as a parent, within a certain age group or within a certain period of time when the child is growing. There's a time the child depends on you entirely. But then there's now a time that the child starts growing up and discovering and even start having other role models apart from you, depending on the age group that we are addressing. Now, you find that if I'm only providing the physical needs, there is no way my child will grow up even if I'm giving him or her physical needs, but I'm not providing the emotional and social support that they need within that period or age that they need it more. So you find that we have different kinds of parenting. And you'll find that we have almost 5 types. But one thing is for sure, there is no clear manual for parenting, but there are principles and basic concepts that can help a parent to be able to bring their child in the right and proper way. There's a role that you play, but there's also the role that the child plays. Because remember, if at all I am an authoritative parent, I will be able to give the rules in my home, but I also allow the child to discuss with me why the rules are being put in place for him. So I give the child the leeway to be able to learn how to make a decision or decision making for himself or herself. And this, it has been discovered that can help the child later on in life to stand on his own or her own when somebody approaches him or her with a bad behavior, or he wants to introduce him or her to drugs. So that's one of the examples. Otherwise, I can say that human beings, as opposed to other people, or even to things that grow in the wild, their behavior and culture is within the social constructs. So if we allow them without those, you'll find that they grow some weird behavior that can make them vulnerable later in life to get initiated to drug and substance use.
Mm-hmm. Now, Jacob, without a clear formula for parenting, yet you are advocating for positive parenting. Now, I'm going to ask you this. How are you coming about to bring this whole agenda of positive parenting in a way that is inclusive of the parent, rather so that they are able to understand what you are putting across? Because if there is no clear formula, how are you sure of how it's going to be accepted and rather by the parents themselves? Because literally, in not so many words, what you would be saying is that you are a bad parent. Now, how do you bring the parent to the fact that there is a way to walk out of this and rather try and better their children? How are you communicating this so that you have the required result?
Okay, thank you. The programs that we are doing, we have family-based drug prevention that we work together with religious institutions, and these are aimed religious institutions and also schools or learning institutions. These are aimed at sensitizing them. There's the part that you can do, but there's also the part that you leave the parent to choose for himself or herself what is good and best for their children. Now, we've developed, some of the curricula have been developed by the Colombo Plan and also International Society of Substance Use Prevention Professionals. And this, we have modified them to fit into the situation that we have in our country in Kenya, such that we use the term evidence-based. When we talk of evidence-based, it means that the interventions by way of sensitization and programs that we have, they have been implemented elsewhere and have been proven over a long period of time to be able to have positive results. So we do work with schools. We do work with the religious institutions, whereby we sensitize both the parents and also the young ones. And we also do IEC materials that they can be able to access. And I can tell you there are even several religious institutions that we have capacity building on family-based drug prevention programs. So it's a matter of campaign, and by nature, NACADA is a campaigns organization. It's only that our campaign is geared towards reducing initiation to drug and substance use within the country.
Mm-hmm. Now, Aduda, concerning the campaigns, in 2019, we had a report, a shocking one, that 4-year-olds were engaging in alcohol abuse, around 17%, according to your study. In 2020, we had the issue concerning COVID, and the statistics were not any promising. In 2021, 16.9% of primary schools were actually noted to have been using, or rather had already used, alcohol. We are into 2022. The remedies, or rather the programs that you've been initiating as an authority to try and reduce this whole situation of drug abuse among the young children, seemingly has been in a struggling formation. Why is this, and what is different about this positive parenting agenda?
Okay, I will not say we are struggling. I will not say the campaign is struggling. I would want you to look at it from our perspective. And one thing I can say is that the trend globally has been worsened by the lockdowns that we had in most countries. And as a result, you will find that drinking of alcohol or alcoholic beverages and consumption of other drugs spiked up because people are using the drugs either to cope with the stresses of lockdown or even other issues that came with the COVID pandemic. Now, I can say that it all is not lost. Because remember, during that time also, I think there was a spike even in banning of schools, and the drug use was linked to it. And NACADA, together with the Ministry of Education, developed guidelines for management of drug and substance use among students in basic learning institutions. So I can say we have not all is lost, or we are making progress. Remember, fighting or campaigning against alcohol and drug abuse is in two levels. There is what we call the supply suppression and also the demand reduction. So we do this in partnership with different government institutions and not only NACADA.
And rather speaking about the whole campaign and its motion moving forward, I'm going to ask as we finalize, what about street children? Do we consider them when we are running such campaigns? Because most of them actually don't have parents, but they are children. They are among the statistics that are worrying. What about them?
Okay, currently, we may not have the statistics. I'm not aware of any statistics on the street dwellers or the street children or the street dwellers who are under 18 years. But one thing I can say is that we have some interventions, not necessarily for street children, but for out-of-school youth. Among them, maybe there's the street dwellers and people like them who are not necessarily in school, but they belong to the category of youth and they require services like we do. And we have been able to carry out campaigns through sensitizations in different regions in the country, targeting that specific cadre of people.
And well, back to a demographic that we can be able to look at, they are adult children. Children who are legally, they can actually indulge in several of the drugs that are a cause of concern. Now, looking at the whole concept of positive parenting, is there a way such that the influence of the parent can be able to override the decisions perhaps of a student who's maybe in campus and is far from the parent? Is there a way that the application of positive parenting, even to a student or rather a child who's not necessarily under the bracket of 18 years, to be able to maybe shun even the various drugs that are available for indulgence?
Okay. Once a young person goes to college or is in that bracket of college going, it means that in most cases they are not under the jurisdiction of their parents. Perhaps the children are far back in the village and now they require to be to be on their own, either in the hostels or in we have mushrooming hostels that even are outside the universities and colleges. Now, what we have done as an institution or as NACADA, we work or we partner closely with the vocational and other training institutions, including the universities. We help them with capacity building, especially on screening and brief interventions, which can help in identifying students who might have such problems with consumption of drugs or other psychoactive substances, which otherwise can lead to health problems. That's the first part. Then there's the second part that I would say is that everybody, especially those young people, they need life skills. And there's one thing that we advocate through positive parenting is that Somebody needs to be involved in the lives of their children. That's the first thing. When I say they needs to be involved, how much time do they spend with them at an early age before they reach another age of whereby they start discovering their independence? Then secondly, you need to have a structured relationship with your child or with your youth or your teenager. You need to set routines and rules in your home. At what time are they coming home? Do you know their girlfriends or boyfriends? Do you know what they like? Do you even talk with them? Because through that, you'll be able to know the kind of friends they have, the parents of their friends. And through this, you can pick up some funny behaviors that they might have that can lead otherwise to issues of drug initiation or consumption. Then you also need to enhance communication with them. Mm-hmm. Do you listen to them? Because there are some things that if you don't teach your person or you don't teach your child at an early age, when it reaches the age when they are now discovering new friends and new partners and new types of life, it will be too late for you. Mm-hmm. But it has been discovered that with if I start teaching my children about drugs and even other the dangers of drugs and even early engagement in premarital sex, even if they don't want to listen to it, later on in life, they'll appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Remember, when you're talking to your child, or you are talking to a young person, they might look like they're rude or they think that you are old school. But at the back of their mind, they'll always treasure whatever you tell them. Even if at that time you are pointing it to them, it looks like you are an old school person.
Okay, Aduda, thank you. And actually, perhaps you can even tell us how far you are in the campaign as we finalize this discussion, and also you can be able to make your parting shot in this moment.
Okay. The campaign is still, I always do say that every single day that we make progress, we discover that we are still have a very long way off from reaching our goals. And I believe that this campaign does not only require NACADA, we require each and every partner that needs to come in and be able to work together with us hand in hand to enhance prevention of initiation to drug and substance use within our country. In NACADA, we welcome every partner, every individual to come and work together with us in this. And one thing I can say is that our services are free. It's paid for by the government. We can be reached through our website. You'll find the contacts of our regional offices throughout the country, and we can be able to come and visit you and as an organization, talk with the members of your institution, be it a church, be it a mosque, be it a school, a college, any other gathering that we can get to be able to speak to people. You are welcome. You will not pay for any service like that. We'll be there to serve you and also to be able to talk to you. And it is a campaign, as I've said. We require everybody to be on board so that our nation will be a drug-free place.
Okay, thank you very much, Jacob Aduda, and for utilizing this platform quite well in bringing us up to